Okay, Section 4 of our solar site assessment is based upon the balance of system. And Section 4.1 is actually an illustration of that balance of system. And there's some details that we really need to know. So here's a picture that is taken of this home. Now there's a couple things about this that could be better. Notice that it's very difficult to read where the conduit meets up into there, and then you've got where some of these connections are. So here's what we're absolutely looking for in this illustration. We got to include the utility meter, which is right here. We got to include the main service panel, service entrance, which is also right here. The main service panel is right there. The proposed layout of the balance of system, so that would be right here. The PV production scale meter, the inverter disconnect, and then maybe where the balance of system is. Now in this, and only in this particular location, the homeowner, as we talked about this system, expressed interest in a microinverter system, and microinverters would be housed underneath of the PV modules, and that's where they would be located. So that would kind of help dictate maybe when an installer were to read this what to do. Now I want to just bring you back real quick, back to figure 3 under the third section. And notice that I've got a combiner box listed here and the array is right here. So that would at least help us understand that, okay, here's where the disconnect is. And then when I come back down to this, all right, here's a balance of system that includes the service entrance, the service utility meter, the disconnect, the balance of system components, and how the system would be wired into the existing infrastructure. So that's what we're looking for on 4.1. And this is a little bit tricky to get. It may need multiple pictures, but in this particular location on the north side of the building, you can see that this is where most of the electrical, mechanical type of stuff is located. You can see the air conditioner, disconnect, and then the utility system that's there. So this would be a proposed location that would function quite nicely. And then what you would have is a nice figure of balance location and noting what is there. And then what you want to do is discuss what the existing infrastructure is. So we went inside the house and went to the basement, which is on the south wall directly behind the service manual. You will see this service disconnect then is a 200 amp square D circuit breaker, and you would show, in this case, the homeowner for whatever reason had circuits in this location, but there was nothing connected. So you wanted to note that the proposed balance of system inverter would be connected to there. The client wants to use microinverters, so we noted that. Then we want to note where the available real estate is and around that system. And this was difficult, it's hard to see, but this was a nicely wood type of panel that went over their disconnect. You know, it looked nice, but we weren't able to see what the disconnects were. I was able to shine a flashlight, look in there, and I could see that it was a 200 amp disconnect, and I was able to look from the side and see what the wires running into the service was, and that was a 2-aught wire. So you want to make sure that the nameplate is there and that sort of thing. So in this image, to build better upon it, you're going to want to have a nameplate. Maybe if I could get a side angle of that, and then what series was there, the main disconnects, then clearly labeled square D. That would be something that you may want to add on to that. But that gives us an idea of what we have going on there. Electrical system service entrance right here for 4.3. That service and electrical systems coming into 4.3 was the service entrance, and maybe a better idea would be to show what the service entrance came into here. There's a little bit of work that would want to be added to this, and that could be just where the service entrance is, maybe a bigger picture on this, what this looks like right here, and then maybe possibly a better detailed image of the actual panel and the nameplate that's on that panel. That is if you can get that material. So this is what we have for our section 4, and you can see that it's a nicely done project here, but it could have added a few more bits of material. It's better to give the most accurate data that you can for a system, and that will help us out making determinations for the system sizing, and gives the installer some material and knowledge to really get a good idea prior to them coming out to a home, to give the homeowner a much better picture of what their requirements and possible changes that might need to occur are.